Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahshai, Ba'ashem Arakah Kodash. Double honors unto the elder apostles, the great millstone, all well. And shalom to the whole full elect. This is Paya Allah. This is News and Prophecy News Update 27/04/2025, the hopeful year of death, destruction, and judgment. All right. I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Lord willing, I'm gonna rectify it through the Spirit. But I got this one article from the dailybeast.com of a recent event with the funeral of the Pope that just passed, Pope Francis. And it caused quite a stir. All right, so the headline reads, Trump gets called out in front of millions at Pope's funeral. All right, and this is quite, as we know, man, this guy, Donald J. Trump, embodies the pride, the pump of the eagle, the proud American bald eagle. He embodies that to a T. He's a man that don't like being embarrassed or called out on for any matter, all right, let alone someone like the Pope, all right. So it's very embarrassing the fact that he had to renege with the tariffs and everything, because it's quite funny as well because of the TV show, as I mentioned before. Years and years. All right, brother put me onto that, and and in that they actually show the leader, the prime minister, hopeful in the UK, a female who basically spoke about tariffs, and one of the guys that was competing from the opposing parties basically outed her on the tariffs, and it's quite, it seemed like it's predictive programming, because what he spoke to is what is the same sentiment that now Donald Trump is dealing with, in that it backfired, right? And now they're saying within the new 2 weeks we're going to see the effects of all them decisions Trump made, all right? So let's get into it. It says, President Donald Trump may have gotten his front row seat at Pope Francis' funeral, but the Pope rebuked him from beyond the grave anyway, all right? And that's probably why he put him up on the center stage, so he can get lambasted in front of the whole world, all right? So he can get cursed out, all right? The posthumous, I can never say that word, man. Posthumous, Salak. Criticism came after Trump was mobbed by a group of world leaders, including France's President Emmanuel Macron, Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of Pope Francis' funeral. The pressure from European leaders appeared to pay off. All right, so this is Ukraine, the UK, France. All right, basically speaking down on Trump. The presence of the European leaders appeared to pay off after Trump sat down briefly with Zelensky before the funeral, and then the White House announced that he would meet with him again afterwards. Right. All right, so you can see them all there together, and they're probably, getting onto the man Trump and letting him, showing him like, brother, you need to get behind this guy. All right, we have an agenda. Okay. However, it was Trump's signature first-term policy of building a border wall that appeared to draw a papal ire in a funeral eulogy. The policy was much criticized by Francis during his lifetime, and Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, who delivered the homily, ensured that the late Pope's hostility to the policy was not forgotten. Re said Pope Francis insistently raised his voice, imploring peace and calling for reason and honest negotiation to find possible solutions. Build bridges, not walls, was an exhortation he repeated many times, right? Because when you deal with the Vatican City, it's one of the three foul one of the foul frogs. Bear me. Unclean. I'll read it quickly here. Revelation 16 and 13. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Right, so one of the three is Vatican City. All right, the other two is City of London and Washington D.C., which are all city states which have power within the beast system. Uh, Washington D.C. having the military might, City of London have the financial might, and the Vatican City has the spiritual might. All right, so and the reason why I mention that is because the spiritual might, the power they're looking for is dealing with not a pantheon, but I forget what the word is called, but it's basically the uniting of all different religions underneath the ideal of um, um, the papacy, Catholicism. They had a meet before a summit where you had many different religious leaders come together, basically form a united front in hopes of uniting the world. So that's why this guy is so on it, because they want to make everyone fall in line under their spiritual allegiance so they can bring together this new world order. All right. Trump and Francis have had clashed repeatedly over the years, beginning in early 2016 when Francis criticized Trump's plan to build a border wall, saying that anyone who thought only of building walls and not bridges is not Christian. All right, because what's Christian? To go around the world and so-called evangelize the people and basically make them submit with the Bible in your left hand and a sword in your right. All right, but in reality, we know the Christians, the Israelites were first called, the Jews were first called Christians in Antioch. Okay, so what is to be Christian is to be a follower of Yahweh Shai. All right, we know these people that established Christianity today, even going back to when it was established by the Nicene Council, is not in line with that of the Holy Bible. All right, it's with back then it was with paganism, and even now more so it's with New World Order satanic agenda. Trump responded angrily, calling it disgraceful for a religious leader to question his faith and accusing Mexico of manipulating the Pope. The bitter and very public exchange saw Trump label Francis as a very political person. The homily may only have been an implicit rebuke, but after such a public clash over building walls, there can be no mistake that it was deliberate and pointed one from the Vatican in front of millions watching around the world. Trump and the Pope had a cordial meeting in 2017 despite the public barbs, and they had been thrown, but tensions simmered beneath the surface. Francis continued to speak out against Trump's policies, condemning his withdrawal from the climate agreements and his rhetoric of immigration. Trump and his supporters in turn painted Francis as a political operator meddling beyond his spiritual role. And the reality is, his spiritual role has domain within the realm of what they're doing, all right? Because he's working on behalf of Satan to bring about that, that new world order, all right? And where his jurisdiction lies, he's utilizing it. He's for a one world government, one world religion, that new world religion, all right? So Trump is basically in his way, right? And he's looking at it like, you're in my way, trying to establish my power structure, all right? But it shows you the division amongst the rulers, all right, on so many levels, whether it be the left and the right. These are within the beast system, the beast sitting, the harlot sitting on a beast, the beast heads, everything's divided, all right? On Trump's return to office, their feud exploded back into public view after Francis denounced Trump's plans for mass deportation as a disgrace, accusing him of punishing the vulnerable. Trump's allies, and remember as well, Pope Francis is from where? Latin America, Argentina, all right? And a lot of the supporters of Catholicism in this modern day era are from the Latin, the Central and South America, all right? So, you know, that's also the reason why he's standing up so hard for it. Uh, Trump's allies hit back, mocking the Pope's criticism by pointing to the high, secure walls around the Vatican City. Trump's decision to travel to Europe thrusted himself into the heart of the continent's biggest diplomatic jamboree, exposed him to intense lobbying from European leaders who violently disagree with what they see as his appeasement of Russia. Nonetheless, his meeting with Zelensky raised hopes that a breakthrough in a peace deal on the Russia-Ukraine war could be imminent a day after Trump said Russia and Ukraine were very close to a deal and ending the war. All right. So that's what they're saying. Zelensky's office posted photographs of two men sitting on a pair of chairs in St. Peter's Bas- Basilica. We discussed a lot one-on-one, hoping for results on everything we covered. Zelensky tweeted, "Protecting the lives of our people, full and unconditional ceasefire, reliable and lasting peace that will prevent another war from breaking out. Very symbolic meeting that has the potential to become historic if we achieve joint results." And this is a joke because Yahweh Shai prophesied of wars and rumors of wars. Even right now, this is a war that's presently going on. All right, and even the sentiment is doubled down as well in the book of Second Esdras, I want to say 16th chapter, where it speaks about the bridegrooms mourning their their husbands in the wars. All right, so this is something that, rumors of war as well. Like you have down there with Taiwan and China, you have all these things that are happening at this very moment right now. All right, but we know where it's gonna come to a head. All right, a very symbolic meeting that has the potential to become historic if we achieve joint results. Hope surged further after the White House said the two men are due to meet again before Trump departs Italy. Alright? But the point is that even though he's working to do this, alright, it shows you that the tension is higher between these leaders. Alright, and it's very fragile. And let's see how it goes. Alright? But you could tell that he ain't too happy about what's going on. Alright, or what the Pope Francis said about him. Okay, because Trump really in the spirit is he about building bridges? No, he's about building walls. Trump is about America first. America, make America great again. Right? And that's the sentiment that we see. So let's read some scriptures on that. This is the book of Matthew 12 and 25. So it says, "And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. But if I cast out devils by the Spirit of the Most High, then the kingdom of the Most High has come unto you." All right, but the point being is what? Every kingdom divided against itself is brought into desolation, and we can see that this desolation, even if these guys do kiss and make up, all right, the reality is that this is cosmetic. All right, there's deep rooted divide within this nation, within these political parties, these leaders, should I say, because we're gonna get into there's a prophecy which I'm gonna read, but then also these, some of these leaders like Trump is a right leader, Keir Starmer is a left leader. I'm not too sure about Macron. This guy Zelensky basically stands in the way of Russia, who supplies these European nations, all right, the UK and France, energy. So there's a lot of division there. They don't have invested interest in the same thing. There's a lot of invested in personal interests with these different things that makes a great divide between the lot of them. All right. Verse 29 says, or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man and then he spoil his house? And this is what we're seeing happening right now. The Heavenly Father is destroying this man's kingdom from inside out. All right, so let's build upon that, because this is all prophetic. And these are the same, more or less the same scriptures I read every time I go on this, because this is what's happening, and this is what's going to happen. It can't be said enough. All right. So it's the book of Daniel 2 and 40. I start from 40. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all things shall it break in pieces and bruise. Now it's talking about the Roman Empire. All right. Now the funny thing is, when you go through this statue, the preciousness of the metal, right, depletes in value as you go down the line. But then what happens is the strength, basically how the density of it is, the density of these different things, or they're less malleable, basically less breakable as you go on down. So iron being the most strong within this thing, basically break it everything in pieces and bruise. But then mind you, this kingdom got taken out. All right. So it's iron that broke everything, but it wound up getting destroyed anyway, taken out, becoming inferior to the next rulership. Verse 41. And whereas I saw the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, and there shall be in it the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Right, so the 10 toes is speaking to the system, all right? The same Roman Empire, so to speak, America, the European nations, all right? The EU and NATO being that of the seven heads with the 10 horns, all right? But basically, with this one, it's utilizing the same thing, being a sword, all right? But it has the strength of what? The strength of the sword. The strength of iron. But when it now, attempts to break in pieces and subdue things, it's an inferior weapon anyway, because it's part of potter's clay. All right. So it trying to damage other nations is not going to have the same virility, the same strength. All right. So reading on verse 43, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. All right. And that's basically what we're gonna see happen. All right. And we're seeing the fractures of that. It will all come to a head in this prophetic event. It's the book of Revelation 17 and 15 on down. So it says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Right. America has the control over the earth. All right. That's where he sits, and he sits upon the beasts, which have power, which is going to go into, actually, I'll read on verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Actually, it doesn't say it, but it said it earlier on that they had power. In verse 12, 10 horns which thou sawest, 10 kings, and they receive no kingdom as yet, but receive power of kings 1 hour with the beast. All right. So verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right. So this is what we're seeing. We're seeing these underlying issues come to the forefront. All right. We're seeing that these nations, they don't get along with each other, and this is gonna culminate, gain steam and work its way to this point, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For the Most High have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. All right. So that's it. Until the words of the Most High, because these nations are all going to gather together to destroy America. alongside Russia, who is their enemy right now. And you can see in defense of Ukraine, Zelensky. So this is the Most High's movie, man, and we're seeing these things happen. So with that, I pray you're edified to the next one. Shalom, shalom.